Last time you and I discussed the all-new 2014 Mercedes-Benz S-Class, it was at the Airbus factory in Hamburg, Germany, amongst the A380, Dr. Z, and Alicia Keys. Great event, but only one problem. We didn't drive it. So, let's head to a more grounded location, say Toronto, Canada, and do what car guys do best. Drive. The Mercedes-Benz S-Class really is an iconic vehicle, much like the 911 is to Porsche or the Corvette is to Chevrolet and General Motors. And like all icons, change doesn't come around very often. When it does, it's quite a big deal. So people, belt in, because we're going to start with the basics. First up, propulsion systems. So in the US, we get one car, at least to start. We get the S550. That's a 4.6-liter V8 twin-turbo that puts out 467 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque at 1,800 RPM. But wait, there's more. Let's file this one under jealousy. There are 3 more engine choices outside of the US. The first is the S400 gasoline hybrid, 306 horsepower. Now, not exactly my first choice. Let's go to the next one. People, this is a Mercedes, so of course, there has to be a diesel. V6, turbocharged 3 liters, 258 horsepower, and 458 pound-feet of torque at 1,600 RPM. Normally I'd say let's call it a day, this is my favorite, but let's go on. Now come on, you guys know me by now. Of course I'm gonna pick the smallest, lightest engine. This S300 turbo diesel 4-cylinder 204 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque at 1,600 RPM. Now, I'd say this is my favorite, but believe it or not, there's more. So we've seen an S-Class with a gas engine, an S-Class with a gas hybrid engine, we've seen an S-Class with a diesel hybrid engine, and we've seen an S-Class with a diesel. But we haven't seen an S-Class with a plug. So friends, this is a good time as any to say that icons, well, their pace of change is much slower than other things in life, especially those involving plugs. So let's give Mercedes-Benz a bit more time to work on this one and we'll discuss it in another film, which gives us a great opportunity to go and drive the all-new S-Class. But before we do, I want to preface this by saying I noticed 2 exceptions after my first time behind the wheel. Exception number 1, the car drives significantly more nimble than you'd expect a car this size to. I think it has everything to do with 2 turbos under the hood, but it probably has something to do with the suspension. Which gets me to my next point. Would you believe me if I told you this car read your future? So here's how it works. There are 2 cameras in the windshield that read the road ahead of you, determine if there's speed bumps, potholes, broken pavement, and then they speak to the computer that runs the suspension. They, in turn, have a discussion amongst themselves and say, I think we need to put more pressure on the right side of the car, left side of the car, front, rear. They all work in conjunction with each other to make the car ride either smoother or stiffer, whatever the road condition. That's called magic body control. And really, that is what makes this car drive like an S-Class. So far, so good, but there's one little dilemma we haven't covered yet. Do you experience the S-Class from the front seat, whether you drive or it drives, or do you experience it from the back seat? Now granted, there are a lot of cars that offer this now. Well, really not a lot of cars, maybe 3 or 4 cars. But it kind of begs the question as to what's important about the new S-Class. And really, it's not whether it drives itself, it's not the twin-turbo engine, and it's even not the fancy seat in the back. It's the details. Everything that looks like metal is metal. Everything that's wood is not only wood, but it looks and feels like wood. The stitching is double stitched, not single stitching. You Bentley people will know exactly what I'm talking about. Even the seat belts in the back are different. These are a bag belt or a belt bag. Basically, it's an airbag in your belt, but really, when you look at it, it's not a safety thing you're looking at. It looks like it is a bespoke piece of kit done on Savile Row. And then you look at details like the speaker grills. You've never seen speaker grills that look like something you would take out of your car and put on your home wall as art. And now on to the important stuff. You guys have to excuse me because I'm gonna set a massage for myself. So I am going to go through the menu. So while I'm busy doing that, it's time for a story. let's meet someone behind the scenes of this car. Now, this being a Mercedes, you would think that they're all named Hans or Dieter and look like this, or even this. But in actuality, Mercedes-Benz has colonized the indigenous peoples of where it maintains its U.S. headquarters, New Jersey.
This is my 20-year Cinderella story. It began with Mercedes-Benz answering phones in the roadside assistance department, and I'll tell you, nobody ever called to say, hey, my car's running great. So after about a year and a half of helping people fix flat tires, get fuel in their car, and get back on the road, I got a job in distribution. Was there for about 2 years, and then in August '95, I went down to Alabama.
Now, in this car, it's a bit different. If I set it to 2, it gives me what's called a hot, relaxing stone massage.
We built the plant and then began building the M-Class. Later on, I went to Germany for a year and a half, had a great experience there in the allocation and ordering departments.
But wait, there's more. You can get an activating massage, a classic massage, a mobilizing massage. Oh, this looks promising, an active workout. No, let's go back to the hot stone.
And in 1998, I moved back to MBUSA into the best department of the company, product management. I worked on every car except for the C-Class, and every day I wake up, I pinch myself because that's my car.
Okay, so Dave is not exactly what I'd picture when I think of Cinderella, but the analogy does apply to his car. Depending on how you look at it, it either has one bad ass of a Prince Charming or a really wicked stepmother. I know we tried this trick in an E-Class convertible in Denmark, but really, how many opportunities do you get to drive A, the new S-Class, and B, a car that will drive you? So without further ado, Distronic Plus. So let's set the speed. We got it at 55 miles an hour. And now what's important here is not so much setting the speed or the distance between you and the car in front of you. What's important is the car will semi-autonomously drive itself. So I let go of the wheel, and it reads the white line on the right side and the yellow line in the center of the road, and we'll steer the car. Look, no hands. And that's a very big truck coming at us, and the car steers clear of it. Don't try this at home. I don't need any legal problems. See that? Traffic going by, cars driving itself. Country roads. See that? So it just tried to go over the line. It's not, I wouldn't call it perfect. It's like taking a teenager out to drive, and then the car will learn, like, okay, we got a car coming here, a van coming here, but it wants to turn. Okay, so let's see if it goes around the corner. Going around a corner, going around a corner, going around a corner. Look at that. It's yelling at me to put my hands on the wheel, but we're trying to prove a point here. Now this is cool and all, but like the S-Class, it brings up rich man's problems. Do you really want a car that drives itself? Or do you want to do the driving?